Hey everybody, I wanted to make a video today on something that I really should have done a video on about 3 months ago when I was really reading about this site. But I was reminded while watching the new PBS show First Peoples last night, I was kind of reminded of this site. And also I watched a video this morning. The guys at UBN did an interview with Rachel Wentz, and she talks about this ancient site that I'm going to talk about. And I will leave the link to this excellent interview below also. But the site that I'm talking about is called the Windover Farm site in Titusville, Florida. And I'm going to zoom in on that location right now. But there's really not much to see on Google Earth, but I just wanted to show you where this area is located. But about 30 years ago, when they were making this subdivision, they did excavation work and they cleared some ponds, and what they found at the bottom of one of those ponds is truly remarkable, and I'm going to talk about that. But here you see this area of Florida where this discovery was made. But I am just going to do a little bit of reading here, and this comes from floridatoday.com, and I will leave the link below. And this just talks about the discovery made at Windover Farms. It says, backhoe operator Steve Vanderjack couldn't believe his eyes. After uncovering a round brownish object, he stopped clearing away the muck and debris to investigate further. When Vanderjack picked up the object, two empty eye sockets of a skull were staring back at him. The year was 1982, and Steve Vanderjack was working to clear the area around a pond in what will become the Windover Farm subdivision in Titusville, Florida, near the intersection of Interstate 95 and State Road 50. It was quickly apparent the remains of several very old skeletons had been disturbed. Jim Swan, the developer of the property, halted work on the site and brought in experts to determine exactly how old the remains were and what should be done with them. A young archaeologist from Florida State University was called to examine the bones. Dr. Glenn Doran could tell right away that they were Native American and were perhaps 1,000 years old or more. After his preliminary assessment of the bones, carbon dating was performed on them. Everyone, including Duran, was shocked by the results. The human remains uncovered at the Windover site were between 7,000 and 8,000 years old, making them 3,200 years older than King Tut and 2,000 years older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt. And that is according to the Standard Model of History. It says it took 2 years to raise the money to do a systematic excavation of the Windover site. 3 archaeological digs were conducted at Windover between 1984 and 1986. The astounding discoveries that were made attracted international attention. Nearly 200 separate intact burials were excavated at the Windover site. With only a couple of exceptions, the bodies had been ritualistically buried and placed in the same fetal position, lying on the left sides. The heads were pointed west, with their faces to the north. The deceased were wrapped in what archaeologists believe is the oldest existing woven fabric in the world. Several branches were lashed together to form a tripod that held each body submerged underwater, creating a pond cemetery. And just going on to the next page here, it says, the environment of the peat bog combined with a remarkably favorable pH balance in the pond allowed for amazingly well-preserved burials. Archaeologists discovered that 91 of the skulls uncovered contained intact brain matter. The stomach contents of one ancient woman indicated her last meal consisted of fish and berries. DNA tests on the ancient remains prove that the families used the site as a burial ground for more than a century. It says other discoveries at the Windover dig helped add to our understanding of prehistoric peoples. And Florida has, there are a lot of ancient mounds in Florida. There's the Horace Island mounds, there's the Tomoka mounds, there's the Crystal River mounds, and I will leave all the links below. But Florida seems to have a very rich ancient history. But who were these people? Well, they don't know. Native Americans, that is a name associated with these people, but the truth is they have no idea who these people were. The mound builders, were they associated with the mound builders? Well, this comes from 7,000 years ago, so that is obviously way back in prehistory somewhere. But we also have another possibility. I say the Mayans came up from Mexico about 1,000 years ago and became the mound builders, but what could have happened is the Mayans came north and just settled around ancient remains that somebody in the ancient past the people who we call the mound builders built, and we might not have an exact definition of who these people actually were. But Windover Farms, it's a fascinating site. It comes from 7,000 years ago. There have been other ponds where bones have been found at the bottom of in Florida, but the bones were taken out by non-professionals, so documentation was really never done properly on these sites. But it was done at Windover Farms. It's amazing that soft matter was found in these 7,000-year-old skeletons. Why they were placed on the bottom of a pond is up for speculation. If anybody has a theory on that, please leave it in the comment section. But this is a site from Florida, 7,000 years old. The history of our country is much more amazing than we can comprehend. Hope you thought this was cool. Have a nice day.